Welcome back to my seventh class, seventh lecture on Microsoft Azure Machine Learning Studio. So we have done a lot of linear regression, right? It's time to get a new model for K clustering. And let's see here. Let's see this gallery actually. How it's good. Okay, it looks good. So let's see what they have some comments to here. Okay, good. So let's see here how we'll open in the studio and see and run that flow and view this. And this is not last. This is after this. I'll have one more class on this notebook because okay. Um, because I promised to get you this notebook, right? We are just working on notebook one. So okay, so this let's try to understand this flow chart since we already got used to what is this input data. It's all about data, clean missing data. So what they have done is removed entire row. Okay, it's up to you what you want to do. So column indices number, I cannot visualize it right now, so we have to run it. Okay, let's see later. Edit metadata. So they have edit the metadata. They use k-means clustering algorithm here because I think they are using a different. They are using a different. I think they are using some images or something. So let's see. That's the reason the k-means clustering, and they are training it. And the training this is a multi-class logistic regression method. They're training it again the different way and assigning to the clusters and set the columns in data sets and evaluate the model. How interesting, they don't have this evaluation model for this one. Let's run this and try to see what's happening first, because we cannot visualize it until we run it. So this is very good. This has good likes and a lot of comments and people liked it, so probably it's a good one. So here you can see actually which one is running. This is completed, this is completed, so top two are completed. So this might take some time because this is completely different method. This is k-means clustering. So far we were only doing with linear regression and Bayesian regression method and Poisson regression method, but this is a k-means clustering method algorithm. So this is a completely group iris data. It's like, I think it has to do with images or something probably. I can be wrong, but let's see here. I've never ran that, but should complete in a moment. Yeah, it's good. Okay, great. So let's visualize it so we know what is. Oh, we don't know what is the data here. Which data they are using, we have to figure it out. So they have this IS, which is a string feature. Okay, and then column 1, column 2, column 3, column 4. This name is, I have to put some really good name. This columns are really not so good. Okay, and then they have remove the missing data. There was the missing data. Okay, let's find out. I have not seen any missing data, but it's good to remove anything. If you even if you don't find it, it's good to do this because most of them you have to clean the data because the data may not be always correct. So now here they change this data, edit metadata, so that they change the names of the columns of input data. Let's visualize and see what they have changed it. So they have changed it to label. See here F1, F2, F3, F4, and this became label. How interesting. Okay, now what they are doing is splitting the data. We know what they are doing. They are using 0.6. We use 0.7 in our one of the model. Remember, they are using 0.6, and they are training this clustering model just using k-means clustering, and they use this data, and let's visualize this. So this is what they're getting, but I also wanted to evaluate this model. I guess I can evaluate this, right? Why they don't have this evaluator, but we'll add it nevertheless. Now the question is, what column you will evaluate. So the only, okay, let's run this. I guess it will evaluate based on the label, and let's find out and see this how this thing works out. So probably I can also evaluate join this and join to this, but probably might not work too, but let's find out for now this one. So whenever you're running, it has to run this whole thing from scratch, so that's the reason it takes time. You see here, this is the time it's taking to run. So we'll wait till this is completed, and hope, there is an error. That's what I thought. So what's the error? Okay, there is no score. This is the second time I'm making mistake. So we have to use core model. See, they have used this core model and then evaluate the model. Now we use this. You cannot use this because this is not trained model. Okay. So cannot connect to iCluster to iKernel.net. So you cannot score this model. That's the reason you don't have this. So hold on. This is still have an error. Input port train model is unconnected. So we have to do this thing again. Now we have to train model. They already have this train clustering model, but you cannot do that. It's how interesting that you cannot do. This thing doesn't work for this. Simple. The reason because this is clustering model. You need train clustering model. So we'll use train clustering model. Okay. Oh yeah, we'll work on label, and I hope scorecard. I'm sorry, score model. input, this is the input, right? So it has to be this one. So you have this already, it's dead, so you cannot get this core model. Should be, so this doesn't work. You cannot get any graph on this one, right? So you cannot get any graph. So this only graph is that is you get here. So we'll run this, and this string clustering model, you cannot have this graph. Okay, so we'll leave that one alone, and we will see here. For clustering model, it's completely different, right? And clustering model is entirely different from in this. You cannot use a scoring model for clustering model. You have to have this train model, and if you are using train model, probably I can still use this train model using the split data, right? I can use the split data and use this, but then there is no point of using that. So that will be the, of course, the different data, but let's try that. Okay, so here let's visualize it. This is good. So overall accuracy, average accuracy, and you got some metrics here. So this is how you predicted this. This is good. I will use this train model. Actually, this is the same thing. So they've used this one. So there's nothing the output to see this one. So this is the only thing doing this. So that's pretty much. If I'm using this, it will be the same thing. This train model, score model, and evaluate model. So there's no point, right? But they're using multi-class logistic regression. That's very interesting. And they're using K clustering, but I'm not able to evaluate that and to get the graph. Unfortunately, I have to look around for this to see which graph can I get for this one. Okay, but for this one, this is good. You get this graph, and we will run as predictive work. Okay, and creating predictive experiment. Oh. Please get something went wrong. Okay, let's run it once again and see this. Close this one. So you have to actually, you shouldn't stop in between when you have to. Once you ran it, you have to set up web service immediately. So importing the data and then cleaning. This running actually takes some time. So. But this is good. I mean, this is good to know about this one. And there's nothing to add actually. Technically, you cannot add anything here. The only thing which they added here is string. But this is good. Group iris data. So this is, they're using k-means clustering and getting the data set from this and comparing that's the label with that, and evaluated the model, which they use split data here. You can use either split data, or you can use, previously we used a different thing, right? we can use that one. So you this for some reason okay, good. So it's automatically creating web services for you. Alright, very good. So we'll deploy it. Okay, so let's run it. They have created a predictive experiment, and we have to run this predictive experiment, and then we will deploy this as a web service so that you can use that you API get generated, and you can get that Excel graph, and you can also use that also. Alright, so this after this now we'll go to one more class, and that will be the pretty much okay. So let's deploy this. So that will be pretty much our last class, and I know this is a little bit slow. We have this thing slow. Okay, good. So let's test it. So we have this one. So okay, good. And you can download this as Excel, and this is the API key generated for you. So that's the experiments. So that's pretty much for clustering group iris data. This was about clustering group iris data. This is completely different from the data what we have done so far. That was crossfire. We have done linear regression, we have done Poisson regression, we have done this is k-means clustering. So we have done little bit good amount of algorithms to use to predict the data. Okay, so that's pretty much for this class. I will be back for the next class. Probably that will be a short video for notebooks, and see that. And with that, we'll end this session for Microsoft Azure Machine Learning Studio. And I hope you like this video, and thanks for watching.